I've got something special for you today, a review of something about video games that doesn't involve blinking, noise making, wires, or generating its own power. It's Retro Gamer Magazine, a magazine about old school video games and modern video games. A magazine about having fun with video games. And that's why I like Retro Gamer. I figure if you're watching this show, you'll enjoy this magazine. Now, it's a UK magazine, so many of us in the United States may not be aware of Retro Gamer. In fact, I stumbled across it one day in my travels. Let me tell you all about it. I walked into one of our giant American bookstores, the kind that doubles as an overpriced coffee shop, and saw this staring at me, a Sega Dreamcast, on the cover of a magazine called Retro Gamer. Certainly sounds like a magazine I'd be interested in. I bought it, read it cover to cover, and I've been hooked ever since. Each month you get these awesome articles on whether it's a game itself, a series of games, a company making games, or interviews with game designers. You just can't lose with Retro Gamer. Whether you're a Sega fan or a Nintendo fan or a Spy Hunter fan, Retro Gamer has you covered, and this probably sounds like a giant commercial because I have nothing bad to say about Retro Gamer whatsoever. The only problem with this magazine is that it is hard to find in the United States. So many of you watching are in America or somewhere else where you may not be able to find Retro Gamer easily. Sadly, that bookstore I used to buy it at stopped carrying it, so I called them and complained, but it did no good. In any event, it has nothing to do with them itself. It's just the fact that they're a UK magazine and they cost more money. So you're going to pay a couple bucks more to get Retro Gamer, which is strange as Americans because we're used to getting our magazines for free, but there's a reason for that, because they're about 1/3 the size and full of advertisements. This is actually full of articles, and good ones, written by people who have fun playing video games, who know their stuff. It's just a terrific magazine. Let's take a look inside because there's articles on entire games like Battlezone. Sometimes they have shiny, flashy covers like this one here for Super Metroid. Entire article dedicated to nothing but Metroid and Super Metroid. If I could find it, there it is. The complete history of Metroid. And the thing is, even if you know a lot about Metroid, you're going to learn stuff from these articles. They're really cool. Very well written too. Back to the 90s. Back to the 80s. I never left the 80s. I'm still there. Not surprisingly, this is one of my favorite issues, the Sega Mega Drive issue. And even though Retro Gamer has advertisements, it's not cluttered with advertisements like an American magazine. You can actually read the entire article without being stopped by some sort of stupid car or cologne advertisement. And it's all about the Sega Genesis. I mean, how can you not like this magazine? The problem we have over here is you're probably just not going to run into it, but now you know about it because I'm telling you. And where else are you going to find this? There's a multi-page article on Metal Slug. Goes all the way back to the original, 1996. The articles vary. Sometimes they're written more like a review where they're giving an opinion, telling you if it's a game that you want to hunt out and find and buy, add to your collection. Other times it's more of an informative article, actually talking about the history of the game or series and interviewing people who worked on it. Here's another one of my favorite issues, the complete history of Super Mario Kart, which has an article about the making of Robotron 2084, one of my favorite video games. And they even interview designer Eugene Jarvis in here. Here's another good one. In that same issue, you'll actually find an entire article on R-Type. Like, this is clearly a magazine put out by people who are passionate about video games, and that's why I think a lot of you watching the show will like it. It's not just a bunch of people obsessing over technical details. They're actually talking about why the game is fun, how it was made, why it was made. If you're in the UK, you'll have no problem finding Retro Gamer. If you're in the United States or somewhere else that Retro Gamer is not readily available, a subscription is your best way to get the magazine. Definitely check out retrogamer.net. I know they have some specials going on from time to time. An article on Mask, the video game. That was like one of the worst cartoons ever. It's like a poor man's G.I. Joe. Entire article on Spy Hunter. There's a couple articles on games here that I'm not that familiar with. Sky Skipper for Atari 2600. I've not heard of that one, but I've heard of this one, Arkanoid, an entire article on the definitive Arkanoid. Frequently you'll find articles on game companies, developers or publishers. They had a nice one on SNK a few months ago. And as you keep going, you'll then end up with some reviews of classic and modern video games. In fact, they'll have a lot of reviews of games. They're like remakes of classic games, Xbox Live Arcade, Virtual Console, even iPod, Nintendo DS, as well as 360 and PS3. Another thing I like about Retro Gamer is that you'll find the production value of the magazine itself is very high. It's a very well-made magazine. It's big, and you can see how it compares right here to a Vectrex screen overlay. That's a pretty sizable magazine, and they're thick too. One thing I'm surprised about is that they don't work with Vectrex overlays. I figured if any magazine would work with a Vectrex overlay, it would be Retro Gamer. Maybe they'll get on that in the future. Like remember the Transformers packages where you'd hold up like a red plastic thing and you could see secret information about the Transformers? Well, they should do that with Retro Gamer. So you could see secret things about Retro Gamer. Reading Retro Gamer doesn't necessarily make you a hardcore gamer, but it does if you read Retro Gamer through a Vectrex overlay. Oh, Seaman. They should make Seaman for the Vectrex. I wonder what the buttons would do. One of them would definitely have to torture him.